And away we go. And away we go. It is the nightcap. Brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. We're still working out some timing there. Still getting that lined up properly, but we'll get it. It's just new. Don't worry about it. Welcome in our new partners at Hail Mary Sports Bar. They are right on the main drag in Cheviot on Harrison Avenue. They are within the Dora district, so you can walk from bar to bar with your drinks. They do not have a kitchen, but they have various food trucks on the weekends, and they do have them randomly throughout the week. Their walk-in cooler is brand new. Their draft lines are brand new. So you don't want to go to that dingy bar that's got draft lines that haven't been cleaned in 18 months. You want to go to the new place that's got the new draft lines and the freshest beer in town. And guess what, Aaron? Not only is the beer cold, but they serve it to you in a 32.8 degree frosted glass. So go visit our friends at Hail Mary Sports Bar. They will get you taken care of. Great place to watch a game and a great place to have a few cold beverages and enjoy the atmosphere. All right, let's get to it. What? You gonna say something?
Devoir.
You opened your mouth like you were. I just was making sure.
That's all I was going to say.
A couple things to talk about today. One of them, the NCAA presented to the Board of Governance, changing the start dates of the men's basketball season and the women's basketball season, and then ultimately adjusting the start of the women's tournament so that it did not fully conflict with the start of the men's tournament like it has in the past. That's a pretty easy one to figure out why. The women's tournament is starting to be a main attraction. It's starting to be a much bigger draw. It really wasn't in the past, so it was counter programming for ESPN opposite the NCAA tournament. Now that they're starting to put up numbers, ESPN's like, wait a minute, we need to get this thing away from the men's tournament a little bit so that we can draw bigger numbers and make more money off of the women's product. So that's what you're seeing with the women's game and their suggestion. With the men's game, they're basically just looking to add an extra week to the schedule so that they can kind of stretch out the games a little bit more, both in the non-conference and then try to avoid what's happening with the Big 12 this year, where they have a 10-week, 20-game regular season schedule. Nobody gets a break at any point in time for 2.5 months. You play 2 games a week every week for 2.5 months. That is physically exhausting and not great for college basketball.
As a consumer, I can't wait to take in 20 games in 10 weeks. That's going to be amazing. As an athlete, though, yeah, I mean, we saw last year what this schedule does to especially the Big 12, maybe more so than any other conference in the country. Every single night is a war. It's a war. Like there's going to be bloodshed, literally actual bloodshed. So I don't know. I understand wanting to spread some of that out. Obviously, if you spread it out too far, you run into going up against the NFL and the NBA as they battle for who's going to win Christmas viewers, as NFL has thrown their hat in the ring over the course of the last couple of years, trying to take over from the NBA, who was the only show in town.
And they will.
For years. Oh, for sure.
And they will.
For sure. But I understand. And like you said, I mean, with the surge of women's basketball, and let's hope it wasn't just because of Caitlin Clark that there was this giant surge. And
that's on them now. They need to do. They need to continue the promotion of their stars. They need to continue. And here's the other thing that I think is important for the women's game. For the longest time, Tennessee dominated the women's game, right? And then UConn dominated the women's game for so long. Right now, it's South Carolina. But what we have seen is the gap narrowing and there being more teams that have a chance. The more teams that have a chance, the more interest is going to grow, the more ability you have to promote, star level players. They've been gifted a golden ticket. It will be up to them what they are able to do with it from here forward. But they had to separate the women's tournament because that first week, especially the first weekend, the round of 64, the round of 32 is the most watched, busiest sports weekend of the year because there's 4 games on at all times. You're watching 4 different channels. The entertainment value is so high. Competing against that is stupid.
True TV is paying all of their bills for the entire year based on that one weekend and the games that they're able to host for that one weekend.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big deal on that. Talk for 1 second so I can my child is home finally. She's been gone all week. She's back home and she's still not taking care of the damn dogs. Give me 1 second.
Just as the NCAA has to make sure to market their women, you got to make sure to tell that kid what she's got to do when you're working. I digress. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. It's good to see them being proactive and trying to make sure that they are taking care of some of that. Just try and put as many eyes on both the women's product and the men's product in that regard. And I think that it's going to do nothing but just progress both sports this season as they just continue to iron out the wrinkles.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to get to tonight, I've seen a bunch of talk about the now that it's official and the date has been released and they are pushing forward with, once again, Cincinnati taking on Dayton downtown at Heritage Bank Arena, whatever of the 8 different banks that have sponsored that place.
Who knows if it'll be called that by the time that they play there in December.
Right. I understand. Look, I have explained,
December, right?
Yeah, December 20th, something like that.
Yeah.
I have explained to people at UC that have asked me this question time and again, why can't we get people down there? One, this is just me being honest. It's the same thing I've said to the people at Cincinnati. Almost everybody in this market has been there. And it's a dump. It is a crap arena. In comparison, walk in one time to the KFC Yum Center. Walk into Fifth Third Arena. And then walk into the Heritage Bank Center.
The Nutter Center up in Wright State is not fantastic, but it's still better.
It's a bad place to watch a game. It is not a great venue to watch a game. The reason that, it's different for Dayton fans, because for them, this is a night in Cincinnati. They can plan it. They can get a hotel. They can go to the banks, something that they don't get to do regularly because they live over an hour away. For them, it's an event. They can come down here. They can make a night of it. They can go out and have a dinner or go out, depending on, we don't know what time the game is going to start. It is a different deal for them. For Cincinnatians, for people in the area, they like going to the banks. The banks isn't the problem. They go to Reds games. They go to Bengals games. They know that is not a great facility. And I think that ultimately gives people in this town pause. But, and I will also say last year, Cincinnati did a poor job promoting the event. I think because there is an NIL element to it, I think they were trying to be overly cautious. Dayton was not. Dayton didn't care. Dayton promoted the hell out of that event. Cincinnati kind of, I think, felt like it would sell itself and that the fans would just come. And that clearly, I don't think it was I was there. I don't think the split was as bad as people have said that it was. You know why it sounded like it was much louder for Dayton fans? Because Dayton kicked Cincinnati's ass.
without question, from the tip.
Cincinnati didn't have a reason for their fans to cheer. If
It
that
was-
would have
I
been
think
a back and forth game, it would have sounded a lot different in that arena.
it was what they were in it for 5 minutes, I think, before
Yeah.
Dayton ran away.
Well, it was the first half. It was somewhat close. Like Cincinnati was still in striking distance. Dayton came out at halftime and put that thing away before the first media timeout in the second half. It was over. So that's why it sounded as drastic as it did. Did Dayton have more fans? Yes. I've heard people say, oh, it's 70-30. No, it wasn't. I was there. I looked. I saw it with my own eyes. It was not 70-30. It sounded 80-20 because the game was 80-20. Dayton dominated 80% of the game. Of course, their fans were more raucous and loud. But here's the thing. This is an NIL game. To do this, the way that it's being done, you go and you have a third party organize the game or be in control of the game, be in control of the tickets, so that neither school is directly tied into the promote, like the whatever, the backs, the planning, the promotion, whatever of the event. It's one of the easiest ways to put a significant chunk of change into the NIL coffers without having to go out and beg for money, for lack of a better term. So it is something that is massively beneficial to the basketball program to do this event. So is it ideal? No. Would they love to have it at Fifth Third Arena instead? Sure. But then you take out the NIL element, which is really the primary reason that they're playing the game. So, like, in the grand scheme of things, it is an important event for the program. Do they need to do a better job this year of promoting the event? Absolutely. They just didn't handle it well last year, and Dayton did. And I do think that played a part. Are the tickets expensive? Yeah, the tickets are expensive. It's a third-party entity running the event. The tickets are always going to see a little bit of a price bump. Is it a pain to go to that arena? Yes. Does it support in a major way the Cincinnati basketball program playing that game? Yes, it does. So, in my opinion, if you're a fan and you want to support the basketball program, go to the game. If you don't, that's fine. If the tickets are too expensive, I understand. If you don't want to go watch a game in that arena, I get it. I don't want to go watch a game in that arena either. But they're doing the game. The reason the game is being done is to benefit the basketball program long term. And going to the game is going to help them do that. So go to the game. If you can, if you want to, go to the game.
Take a little trip with me down memory lane. And last season, Cincinnati hosted a tournament to start the season where
The MTE, yeah.
Where you got to pay for those tickets separate from your season tickets, but it afforded you the opportunity to be down where all the red sweater crowd sits, and you got to be loud, and you got to be closer to the court where you normally weren't able to swoop tickets. And many people raved about the experience, how they got to be closer to a team that was exciting to watch and taking the action from as close as you can get to the floor. Far different than sitting in the upper deck, of course, at Fifth Third. Now, here's another opportunity to get to watch a game closer to the court. And by my opinion, this team is probably going to be a little bit more exciting than last season's team. You're going to see high flyers. You're going to see all these guys a year older, a year more mature. And I don't know. For me, this is going to be a more exciting team by and large against every team they play. I think they're going to be looking for revenge because you have a lot of guys on this team that played this team last year. They don't have a ton of teams outside of that conference schedule. Xavier and Dayton, that's it. And I guess
last year that was it. This year, Villanova, Georgia Tech, like it's a little better this year than it was last year.
I just mean teams that you played last year, so you have some skin in the game, if you will. Like Dayton beat them. So, yeah, they're going to be a little bit more hungry to try and get that win than maybe they would be against another team if you had to play an Ohio State or something like that in that arena. I don't think anybody on this team was here when Ohio State was here on that opening night for Fifth Third.
Oh God,
believe,
no.
Yeah,
Mick was here.
So I can't believe it was that long ago. My goodness.
It feels like Mick left 15 years ago.
That was pre-COVID, I guess. Yeah. So
yeah, 2018. Yeah.
My God.
I
don't know.
A decade ago.
The only point I'm making is just you can get closer to the floor. You have the opportunity to do so without breaking the bank or hoping somebody is selling those tickets. And it's again, as you said, just largely to benefit the athletes. If you can't just make a donation, here's a way for you to donate while also getting a big bang for your buck.
Yeah. Look, I get it. The arena sucks. I get it. Like I completely understand like the sentiment about going down there. I have made that argument to people on why it is a tough sell to get people to go downtown and watch a game. But the game is being played and it can benefit the university and it should be an exciting team. There is a little bit of a revenge factor and if at all possible, go down and watch the game. I think we're going to try to do something pregame, depending on the start time. We're going to try to do something pregame at the Grail to help entice people to get down there. Maybe if it's an early game, we'll do something after and have like an after party kind of deal at the Grail. But Jimmy and I are working on something for that. Look. So sometimes in life you just got to tough it out, right, Aaron? Sometimes in life you gotta grin and bear it. And given what this is for, and given what it benefits, which is, guess what? You want to be real honest about it? There's a good chance that this team doesn't look anything like what it's going to look like this year, next year, because of how many guys will have the opportunity to leave. You know what it's going to take to get another big competitive Big 12 level team in here? A lot of NIL money.
Yeah.
A lot of NIL money. Go to the game. Or don't. That's the nightcap. We'll see you Sunday. Right here. Brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.